Hey guys, tune in. We're going to talk about all the questions assigned for the Unit 2 review, starting with page 288, numbers 1 to 12. Okay, so for number 1, we're given a set of integers, 0, -2, 3, 1, and -4. And our job is to order those from least to greatest. So negatives are always smaller than positives. So -4 is our smallest integer. It's farthest to the left on the number line. I've used that. We only have one more negative left, which is -2. Okay? And then from here, we can just plug in our positives, 0, 1, and 3. So here's our list from least to greatest. Number 2, same idea. We have our list, -8, -3, 5, 4, and -5. So least to greatest means we're going left to right on the number line. -8 is the smallest number in the set. Then -5 would be next furthest left. Then -3 is our only negative that remains. And then 5 and 4, we know how to compare those, 4 and then 5. Number 3, I'm gonna do it right here. Number 3. Graph the number and its opposite. So the number that we're given is 14. So for our graph, we need a number line with arrows on the end, a 0 in the middle, and then you can choose what to count by. I'm going to count by 7s. So -7, -14, -21. When we graph, the dot goes right on the line, and we have to include its opposite. Okay? You didn't have to count by 7s, but as long as you have equal intervals, you're doing just fine. Number 4, -40 is what we're graphing, as well as its opposite. Arrows on the end, 0 in the middle. I'm going to count by 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40. -10, -20, -30, -40. There's the integer right on the line. There's its opposite. Dot goes right on the line. Okay, number 5. -1 and 1/3 is what we're graphing. So I'm going to set up another number line. 0 goes in the middle. And in this case, I notice my denominator is thirds. So I'm going to count by thirds. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, which is just 1. Then 1 and 1/3. Then I'm going to go into the negatives. -1/3, -2/3, -3/3, which is -1. Then -1 and 1/3. There's -1 and 1/3. There's its opposite. Okay, let's look at 6. 6, we are asked to graph 1.75 or 1 and 75/100ths. Here's 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. Here's 1.75. I have to write the value above since I estimated its place. Oopsies. Whoopsies, Mrs. Marion. That's not it. No, wrong. -1.75 would be here. So there's the number and its opposite. Okay, let's look at number 7. 7 tells us to find the absolute value. Well, absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. So -7 is 7 spaces from 0. For number 8, we are asked to find the absolute value of -11, which is 11 spaces from 0. Okay? All right. Number 9, we have to compare. So number 9, we're comparing -2/3 and -3/5. Well, there's lots of strategies for doing this. You can find a common denominator and compare the numerators, or you can convert them to decimals and compare that way, which is how we practiced in our lesson. If you forgot how to convert to decimals, we would divide 2 by 3, decimal hop, 3 zeros. When you do your division, I know you can work that out. You're gonna get this 6 repeating, okay? So we can write it as negative 6/10 with that repeating bar over the 6. And then here we would divide 5 into 3. And we would get 6/10, okay? Now, the key here is that this number repeats. So the one thing I want you not to forget is these are negatives, and negative is synonymous with opposite. So if these were positives, 2/3 would be greater. However, since they're negatives, negatives means opposite, we would take the opposite sign, which would go that direction. Number 10. So 10 is kind of a silly question. 1 in 55 hundredths, -2 and 46 hundredths. There's no work there. Positives are always bigger than negatives. Nothing to show. Number 11. We're comparing the absolute value of -6 to -3. Well, remember, we have to show what this equals first before we can compare. So the absolute value is -6 is 6. And if we compare that to -3, it's greater. Okay, last one on this page, number 12. -2.5 compared to the absolute value of 2.5. Well, 2.5 is still 2.5 spaces away from 0, and positives are always bigger than negatives. Okay, so there's that first page, page 288. I'm going to turn the page to get a fresh start for the second part of the review. So the second part of the review, we are doing page 512. Numbers 1 to 10. We have 3 parts to our review. Okay, more absolute value. So the absolute value of -9 is 9 spaces from 0. Number 2, the absolute value of 64, well, that's 64 spaces from 0. Okay, so remember, distance is always positive. So both of these are positive answers. Number 3, the absolute value of -22 is 22. It's 22 spots from 0. Number 4, we have to compare 4 and the absolute value of -8. Well, -8 is 8 spaces from 0. Compared to 4, that makes it greater. Number 5. 5, we're comparing the absolute value of -7 to -12. Well, the absolute value of -7 is 7, and positives are always bigger than negatives. Number 6. -7 compared to the absolute value of 3. Absolute value of 3 is 3. Compared to -7, positives are always bigger. Okay, number 7. -6 plus -11. So remember, anytime we see a negative, we're adding, we're gonna think of it as what we owe. So if I owe 6 and I owe 11, that means I owe you a total of 17 for -17. Number 8. Okay, so 8 we get into subtraction. 2 minus -9. So remember, we want to take the opposite of subtraction, which is addition. And if we change this to addition, we also have to change the opposite to the opposite sign of what we're subtracting. So 2 minus -9 is exactly the same as 2 plus 9, which equals 11. Okay, number 9. -9 times 2. Well, 9 times 2 is 18, and the opposite of a positive makes it -18. And number 10, -72 divided by -3. If you need to work it out this way, you totally can. No harm in doing it like that. You will come up with 24 as your quotient. The opposite of a negative makes it positive 24. Okay, awesome. Good progress, Miss Marion. We have one more set left. 548, 1 to 8. So page 548, numbers 1 to 8. I'm going to move you down so you can actually see what I'm writing. And let me get that page. Oofty. Okay, these are kind of a load of work, but we only have 8, so it won't be too bad. So we have to take our fraction, 7/40, and write it as a decimal. So we would divide 7 by 40, numerator always by denominator, decimal hop 3 zeros. 40 goes into 7, 0 times, at 0, subtract, I get 7. 40 goes into 70 once, at 40, subtract, and I get 30. Bring down. 40 into 300 goes in 7 times. 7 times 40 is 280. Subtract, and I get 20. Bring down. 40 goes into 200 5 times, at 200, subtract, and it comes out even. Okay, number 2, I need a new page. All right, 2, -1/9. So same idea, numerator divided by denominator, decimal hop 3 zeros. 9 goes into 1 0 times. Subtract, we get 1, bring down. 9 goes into 10 once, at 9. Subtract, I get 1, bring down. 9 goes into 10 one time, at 9. Subtract, I'm going to stop because I notice that that 1 repeats. So when a digit repeats, we use a repeating bar over it. But don't forget, this started as -1/9, so we need to include that negative. Okay, number 3, 21/16, -21/16. Same job. Divide 21 by 16. It doesn't matter what's bigger. It's always the numerator that goes inside that division box. So we would say 16 goes into 21 once. At 16, subtract, I get 5. Bring down. 16 goes into 50, 3 times. 3 times 16 is 48. Subtract, I get 2. Bring down. 16 into 20 once. At 16, subtract, I get 4. Bring down. 16 into 40. Do I have a mistake? No, I don't think so. Twice. 16 times 2 is 32. Subtract, I get 8. I could probably keep dividing, but it's good practice to divide to the thousands place and round to the hundredths. So this 2 tells that 1 to stay, and it's a negative. I think if you keep dividing, it would go into 85 times, and that would work too. All right, number 4. Oh, and we have even more division. So 36/5. Let's check that out. So 36 divided by 5, decimal hop, 3 zeros. Are we having fun yet, you guys? I know I am. So 5 goes into 36 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract, I get 1. Bring down. 5 goes into 10 twice. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, and it comes out even, which means that I get to stop right there. Okay, let's look at number 5. Alrighty. Oh, good. New concept. Negative 0. Let's see. So what's our decimal? 122 thousandths. So remember, this, how we read it, is how we write it. So 122 thousandths is how it would start. Don't forget to carry over that negative. And then for number 5, we can reduce. I know I can divide these each by 2. And I get negative 61. There's my negative sign. Over 500. And I can't reduce any more than that. Okay, couple more. 6, 7, and 8. Number 6. Alrighty. This one is pretty quick. So read the decimal. Remember, you have to know your place value. So if I read this, it would read 33 hundredths. So that tells me 33 over 100 is my fraction. And in this case, I cannot reduce. So 33 hundredths is our final answer. 7. Negative 4 and 45 hundredths. So this is our decimal point. So this tells us that this is our whole number. And this tells us that this is our fraction. So we're going to have a mixed number. So our whole number is negative 4. And our fraction is 45 hundredths. Again, this 5 is in the hundredths place. That tells us what our denominator is going to be. Remember, to get full credit, you have to reduce. So we would divide by 5, divide by 5, and we would get negative 4 and 9 twentieths, which can't be reduced anymore. Alrighty, folks, last one, number 8. Negative 7 and 9 hundredths. So same idea. This is our whole number. So drop it in, negative 7. This becomes our fraction. 9 is in the hundredths place. So that tells us it's going to be negative 7 and 9 hundredths. That place value tells us our denominator, and I cannot reduce. So that becomes our final answer. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.